Welcome to 20-Minute Tech Tips, where we break down a specific task or software feature. I'm Liz.
And I am Rachel.
And for today's episode, we are talking about how to navigate the Microsoft Store with JAWS. The Microsoft Store is where you'll find a wide range of content, everything from apps to games to AI tools. They've added a lot of content over the last several years. Now, many of these apps are from Microsoft, but there are also apps there from a lot of other developers. So it's a great place to go search for an app if there's a specific type of app you're looking for, or maybe even a specific app. You can access the Microsoft Store a number of ways. You can access it by adding a shortcut to your desktop. You can access it from the taskbar. You can access it from the Windows Run dialog and also from Windows Search, which is how I'm going to do it.
Search box edit.
All right, I press the Windows key and now the search box is in focus and I'll type Microsoft Store.
Microsoft Store, app, press right to switch preview. Microsoft Store, app, press right to switch preview.
I'll press enter to open it.
Microsoft Store, button, user profile button.
All right, and now the Microsoft Store app is open. By default, it places me on the user profile button. There are a few controls here that I want to talk about, but before we do that, let's talk a little bit about cursors. So by default, the PC cursor is what we're using here in the Microsoft Store. This is our system cursor. This is the cursor that we use to navigate menus, dialog boxes, and applications. You can turn on the virtual PC cursor. You can choose to do that. I like to use the PC cursor personally, just because I find it easy to navigate and find what I'm looking for. But there are a couple of situations where I like to turn on the virtual PC cursor. Now, the virtual PC cursor is what we use to navigate web pages with JAWS. So when you turn it on, you will be able to navigate an environment that's very similar to a web page. You'll have headings, you'll have some buttons, you'll even have a search box here. So it's going to behave a lot like a web page. And because of that, it's going to enable us to access certain options. But for right now, we're just going to keep the PC cursor on and navigate using the PC cursor. So we're here on this user profile button. Now, this is where we would go to sign in. It's also where we would go to access a couple of settings. So I'm going to press space to activate it.
Context menu. Settings, 2 of 2.
All right, and we're actually on settings, so 2 of 2. So I'm going to press enter.
User profile button, U. Windows Update link, W. Leaving menus.
All right, here it's on a Windows Update link. I'm going to tab and shift tab back to this because there's actually some text here that sometimes when it's in focus, it'll read, JAWS will read it, but it didn't this time. So I'm going to tab and shift tab because this is important to know.
App updates button. Automatically download and install app updates. Updates for system components are controlled by Windows Update. Windows Update link.
All right, so the updates for system components are controlled by Windows Update. Here's a Windows Update link. So we could go here if we wanted to go to that setting, but we're not going to do that. So I'm going to press tab.
App updates button checked.
So here is the setting that we actually need. App updates are checked. So it's going to automatically update these apps that I have here that have been downloaded from the Microsoft Store. Now I have this checked. If I wanted to uncheck it, I could press space.
Not checked.
But I want it checked, so I'll space again.
Checked.
So by default, this is checked. Now if I tab.
Notifications for app installations. Notifications for app installations button checked.
There's another setting for notifications. That is also checked by default. I'll tab again.
Video autoplay. Video autoplay button checked.
And that is also checked by default. And then if I continue pressing tab, I have some links here.
About Microsoft Store. Links. Help link. Open source libraries. Search. Search edit. Suggestions: 5.
And then I have a search box. And if I tab again.
User profile button.
All right, so now we're back to our user profile button. So we went to settings. Now we don't exit settings by pressing escape, or there's no OK button. If we choose another option here in the Microsoft Store, then it will exit settings and go to that option instead. All right. We heard just a minute ago that we were in a search box and we tabbed over here to the user profile button, but I'm going to shift tab back to search.
Search edit. Suggestions: 5.
So what if we want to search for an app? And we can either search for a category, for example, notes, or we could search for a specific app, for example, Evernote or Office 365. So I'm going to go ahead and type notes.
Suggestions: 8.
All right, so we have 8 suggestions here. I'm going to down arrow to access those. If I didn't want to access the suggestions, I could just press enter, but I'm going to down arrow here.
Notes, 1 of 8.
All right, we have a category, notes, a down arrow.
Sticky notes, 2 of 8.
Now that's a specific app.
Samsung Notes, 3 of 8.
So now it's just going to list some specific apps. Let's up arrow to this notes category.
Notes, 1 of 8.
And press enter.
User profile button, results updated, left quote notes right quote.
All right, if I tab.
Suggestions: 8. Search, user profile button. Home, 1 of 6. What's new, 1 of 3. Left quote notes right quote. Filters button not checked.
All right, I had to tab a few times, but now we get to our search results and it says filters not checked. Now, I want to show you the difference here because if we don't check this box, then we will still get some options for filtering or sorting our results. But if we do check it, those options are going to look a little different. So I'm going to go ahead and press space to check that.
Checked.
And now I'm going to tab.
List box, department filter all departments selected combo box.
All right, so we've searched for the category notes. Now we have a filter. We can search in different departments here. So I'm going to press enter to open this drop-down box.
Filter combo box expanded all departments filter, 1 of 9.
So we have 9 options. All departments is what is currently selected. If I down arrow.
Apps, 2 of 9. Games, 3 of 9.
So here we could search in all these different categories.
Movies, 4 of 9.
For the word notes. Now I'm going to go back up to apps.
Game apps, 2 of 9.
And press enter.
Department filter apps selected combo box.
All right, so apps is selected. And we can tab through these other combo boxes as well.
Audience age filter all ages selected combo box.
So that's for audience. And again, we could enter to open that and arrow through the different options there and enter on the one we wanted. I'll tab.
Price type filter all types selected combo box.
This is an important one because what if you just want to search for apps that are free, for example, or maybe you have a price type that you would like to search for.
Category filter all categories selected combo box.
All right, so those are categories. So again, if we enter here.
Filter combo box expanded all categories filter, books and reference. Business, 3 of 26. Developer tools, 4 of 26.
So those are the different categories that we can filter. I'm going to go back up here to all.
Books and filter combo box expanded all categories.
And I pressed enter. All right, I'll tab.
Category filter all, reset all button.
And here we can reset all. All right, so that's what happens if you check the box to filter. Now I'm going to shift tab back up to that option and uncheck it so I can show you how to navigate the options that you will get when you leave it unchecked. So I'm going to shift tab several times.
List priority left help home 1 what left quote notes right quote filters button checked.
All right, I'm going to uncheck filters by pressing space.
Not checked.
By default, this is unchecked. So if I type notes and I press enter and I tab here and I hear it say filters unchecked, now I'm just going to keep pressing tab and let's see what we have.
All departments button not checked, 1 of 5.
So this is very familiar. We have all departments, but it said 1 of 5. The other one had 9. So if we check filter, that's going to actually give us more options. But if I down arrow here.
Movies button not checked, 4 of 5.
Now this is actually in a grid. So instead of being a drop down, these are items that we can check.
All departments button not checked.
So if I down arrow, it went to 4 of 5. I up arrow. And I'm going to right arrow because now this will take us one at a time through these options.
Apps button checked, 2 of 5.
Now apps is currently checked because I selected it just a few minutes ago when I was walking through these filter options. So it remembered that.
Games button not checked. TV shows button not checked. Movies button not checked. 4 of 5.
So those are the options that we have. So apps is checked, so I can tab.
Notebook dash note dash taking, memo, average rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars, free button.
All right, so now we're in a list of apps. Now, that's not something that you would necessarily know by default here because it didn't say one of 56 or one of 10 or anything like that. But just know that when you get to this, if you tab past it, you're going to go back to search and some of those other options. So when you hear the name of an app and you hear information like rating and whether it's free and things like that, know that you're in a list. And so now you can press down arrow
Dash my notes dash, app,
to get through or to navigate through all these other options here.
good notes for Windows 533, Rainbow Diary dash journal.
So I'm going to up arrow here.
Good dash my notes dash, average rating of 4.1 out of 5 stars, free button.
All right, what if I want to know more about this particular notes app? I'll press enter.
Dash my notes dash published by Sam Giron, average rating of 4.1 out of 5 stars, free. Dash my notes dash, dash my.
All right, it tells us who it's published by, the rating, and that it's free. Now I can tab here to navigate through various pieces of information about this app.
4.1 stars, click to skip to ratings and reviews button.
All right, we could check out some reviews if we wanted.
Productivity button.
That is the category, it's a productivity app.
Age rating : everyone, click for more information. Link.
All right, there's your audience.
Share button.
And here's a share button. Now, this is one of the situations where I want to turn on the virtual PC cursor because I want to read the description for this app. So I am going to press Insert Z Zulu.
Use virtual PC cursor on for UWP apps.
All right. And I'm going to press the letter H for heading.
Heading level 2 screenshots. Heading level 2 description.
And now JAWS said description. So now I could down arrow and read the description for this particular app.
The most popular Windows Note app is now available for all Windows 10 devices including Xbox and HoloLens. With over 4 million downloads and an average 4.5-star rating, this is simply the best note-taking app for Windows.
All right, and we could continue reading that description. Now, if I wanted to download this app from here, I could turn off the virtual PC cursor. I could shift tab up to the Get button. It's free, so I don't have to buy it. But if I want to go back and select a different app to look at, there are different ways you can do this. I like to keep the virtual PC cursor on and go to the top of the page with Control Home.
Microsoft Store.
All right, and then I want to locate the back button with the letter B, Bravo.
Back button.
And I'll press Enter.
Back button. Results updated.
All right, and it places us back in our results. I am going to turn off the virtual PC cursor by pressing Insert Z.
Use virtual PC cursor off for UWP apps.
All right. Now let's talk just a little bit about navigation. Sometimes it can be easy to kind of get lost here when you're tabbing through these options and you think, how do I get back to that user profile button? I like to think about that as kind of our home area there. That's kind of like our go home. That's our home base, so to speak. And so I want to get back to that button. I don't need to activate it. I just want to get back to it. So if I turn the virtual PC cursor on, and you can do this from anywhere in the app, I'm going to press Insert Z.
Use virtual PC cursor on for UWP apps.
And I'm going to press E for Edit because that's going to take us to the Search Edit field.
No more edit boxes found.
All right, well, there's only one, so I'm going to press Shift E. If it tells you that, press Shift E.
Search notes edit.
All right, and if I press Enter here,
search,
it places us in the edit field, and now I can turn off the virtual PC cursor with Insert Z.
Use virtual PC cursor off for UWP apps.
And if I tab,
user profile button.
There we are. So I know that seemed a little bit of a long way around there, but so what I did there, I wanted to get back to my home base here, which is my user profile button. I pressed Insert Z, Zulu, to turn the virtual PC cursor on. You can either press E or Shift E, depending on where you are on the page, to get to search, and press Enter to activate that, to actually place your focus in the edit field, because from there, when you turn your virtual PC cursor off, you can tab and you'll be on this user profile button. All right, couple more items here. Let's tab. So a question that comes up before I press the tab key, a question that comes up frequently is, how do I know when to tab and when to arrow? Well, here we are on the user profile button, and we can either space to activate it, or we can press tab to navigate past it. So if we press tab,
Home, 1 of 6.
we hear
Chrome
home,
Legacy window, Microsoft Store.
we hear home 1 of 6. Because it said 1 of 6 or 1 of 3 or 2 of 10, whatever it said, because it gave us a number range there, we know that we are in a list. Now, these aren't items that's not going to say button or link or anything like that, but we know we're in a list. So we're on home. If we down arrow,
Button, apps, 2, home, 1 of 6.
all right, so home is the first option here, and that's just going to show you, if you were to tab here, it's going to show you new types of content such as apps and games and so forth. If we down arrow,
Apps, 2 of 6.
we have apps, which is 2 of 6. And if we enter here, we have to enter on these to actually select them. But if we select apps, it's just going to show us different categories of apps. For example, most downloaded, new apps, things like that.
Gaming, 3 of 6.
So we have gaming,
Arcade, 4 of 6. Entertainment, 5 of 6.
we have entertainment, and we have
AI Hub.
AI Hub. Now, you can't navigate this list with first letter navigation. So if I want to go back up to apps, for example, I have to up arrow.
Enter arcade gaming, apps, 2 of 6.
And I'll press enter on that.
Apps.
And then if I tab again,
What's new, 1 of 3.
so here we get 3 more items that we can navigate with our arrow keys. We have what's new, and that's what's selected by default. We can down arrow.
Library, updates available, 2 of 3.
Library will show us the apps that are on our computer, and it'll tell you when you press enter and you go in your library, it'll tell you which ones have updates, and you can navigate through your apps, and it'll actually tell you the last time a particular app has been modified.
Help, 3 of 3.
All right, and there is help. So those are really important options for when you're navigating. If you're not actually using the search feature, you can go back up to what's new, for example, and then you can tab through those different categories. So that is how you navigate the Microsoft Store. We talked about how to search for apps, how to change a few settings in your user profile, and also how to navigate through different categories of apps. Thank you for joining us for this episode of 20-Minute Tech Tips. Check out our Freedom Scientific training page at freedomscientific.com/training and subscribe to our blog at blog.freedomscientific.com for all the latest training information. For questions or feedback, email training@vispero.com. That's training@Victor, India, Sierra, Papa, Echo, Romeo, Oscar.com.